It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. I'm your host, Jill Schlesinger, certified financial planner. We love answering your financial questions, so let's get into it. Let's talk to Claire from Texas. Hello, Claire. What's going on? What can we do for you?
Hi, I have questions about my retirement. I would like to retire, and I want to make sure that that's possible.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am almost 62. I'm hoping to work until 65. I work for the federal government, so luckily I have a pension.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be about $4,000 a month gross. I also have about $1.2 million in the TSP.
Great. Is that all pre-tax?
Yes, because
Okay.
I've been working long enough that there was no Roth when I started. I also have about $600,000 in a Fidelity account. I live in a place that's not that expensive. And so I was hoping in 3 more years I'd be able to retire. I am maxing out on my contributions to the TSP, and I get a match of 5% from the government. So, and I'm also doing the catch up, right? Because I'm over 55.
So you got 30 grand going in plus the 5% match, and your pension is accruing and everything is good there.
Yes.
So the $4,000 a month gross is at age 65. And are you also entitled to Social Security or not?
I am. I'm hoping to not take it until I'm 70. If I can wait till then, I will get about $4,500 a month.
Wow, that's great. And how much do you figure you spend on a monthly basis?
Probably about $5,000.
We're done. We're done. All right, wait, unless you tell me there's something weird going on. Do you have like kids or aging parents or a bust out sibling? Is there some big thing that I'm not hearing about?
I don't have kids. I have an aging parent, but she has her own money, and she has enough to take care of her.
All right. How much would you guess? You live in a house, right? You're not renting.
I'm actually renting with my my partner. He owns the house, but I pay him $1,500 a month.
Is he a nice landlord?
He is.
You have a partner, but and you're not married, right?
No, I'm divorced and now living with him.
Okay. In sin. I'm just
Yes.
kidding. And you guys keep your money separate.
Yes, we do.
There's nothing else big that I have to worry about? Like, you're not going to tell me that, oh, actually I have to pay $500,000 because I want to buy a second home or something like that?
I do not want a second home. I'd rather travel in Europe.
Oh, God bless you. You know that you're in great shape. Why are you calling here? You're in amazing shape. I mean, you've got first of all, you've worked so hard. How much do you earn right now?
$203,000.
I mean, you seem to me like the ideal person who plans for retirement, which is I make a chunk of money. I've never spent a lot of money. I tossed a ton of money into all of my retirement accounts. My Social Security plus my federal government pension will more than cover my needs. I mean, even after taxes. You're in great shape. I mean, do you like what you do?
Yeah, I like it. It's just terrifying to think of not having a steady paycheck.
You will have a steady paycheck. You're going to get $4,000 a month, right? And then for those 5 years where you need to fill in the gap, you're going to pull some money out of your thrift savings plan, and you're going to slowly pay the taxes that are due. In fact, I might consider whether you should start converting some of that thrift savings plan because it's mostly pre-tax. Do you have any Roth assets?
I don't, because I just kept doing pre-tax because that's how I did the bulk of it. So I thought maybe in that time period before I take Social Security, I'll have
yes.
income.
Yeah. What I would do is there's 2 ways to think about it. One is you could actually convert the money, but I don't even think you need to do that. What you should do is that Fidelity account, which is non-qualified, it's already been taxed. I would not really touch that. I would use my thrift savings plan. I would pull the money that I need in excess of the $4,000 a month. So I even might pull more out because you have right now landed yourself at the top 32% bracket because you're single. You make $200,000, right? So you'll be in the 24% bracket. I mean, you could basically do something really smart, which is, let's say that you've got this $48,000 that's coming in. I probably would start taking out like 100 grand a year. I'm not kidding, from the thrift savings plan. So 65, 66, 67, 68. So those 5 years, you could take 100 grand out. You'll pay the tax at a 24% bracket. Okay. And you'll get the money out. It'll be taxed. And then you'll reduce your required minimum distributions in the future. And then by the time you're collecting, who knows what the tax rates are going to be, but you're collecting Social Security at 70 and you have your pension. Now that's $9,500 a month. You're still going to be in the 24% tax bracket at that time based on today's, what we know about brackets today. And so you could just take less money out at that time. You could just start to pull the money out. You're not going to have to take money out until you're 75. Okay. So you could basically say, I'm going to take 100 grand out for 5 years. And then for the next 5 years, maybe it's 50 grand. We'll have to see where you are at that time. I would get as much money out of that account. And that is like the greatest tax arbitrage. You're right now in the highest, the 32%. You'll go down to the 24%, pay the tax that's due, and get that money out of there so that you control the tax liability.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
You have the Roth option through the TSP now?
Yes, we do.
You could do it. Is it going to annoy you to, then she's firmly in the 32%.
Seemed easier to have it all in the same place since the bulk of it was, right? And I knew that I would at some point have to try and convert some. But like I said, I thought during that time period where I'm not taking Social Security, that would be a good time to do some of that.
Yeah, you could. And I mean, you could take the 30 grand and pull it back and put it, you could say either one of two things. One is you could say, you know what? I'll put it in the Roth. That's one option. The second option would be, I'll just not put as much money into the thrift savings plan and just pop more money into my Fidelity account. That'd be fine too. There's no wrong answer here. You're in such good shape that we're talking about like optimizing your choices. So if it feels like a pain in the neck to have, this extra Roth account as a thrift savings plan, I get that. I mean, it's probably more efficient for you to have that be Roth money. But if you're willing to really work on this after 65, then I think you're fine. By the way, you don't have to wait till 65. Are you waiting till 65 just because of the pension?
No, I could take the pension today.
If you don't love what you do, I don't know. I don't know what your partner does. And you don't have to wait. You could get this rocking and rolling right now.
Yeah, I got one more thing I want to do before I retire there.
I love this. How great is that?
Then I will. And I get, if I'll be 62 in a month, and then I get an extra 10% of the pension. So I'm definitely waiting till then.
Then I say you can go ahead and do what you want. You're in such good shape. Mark, how do we get jobs with the federal government? The problem is they'll do a background check on me. It's not going to be good. I feel like they will. One time someone called me from the federal government because a friend of mine from college was going into, I think it was the State Department, and they were doing background checks. I answered most of the questions that were asked. A few of them I said I didn't recall. Anyway, don't rat me out, Claire. Anything else do you have your estate documents? Because you're not married and I want to make sure your money goes where you want it to go.
I do. I have a will, I have a healthcare directive, and a power of attorney for my partner.
That sounds great. All right, you're in good shape, girl. Then I wish you the greatest of luck. Enjoy yourself, and thank you so much for getting in touch with us.
Thank you.
If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the show that helps you answer your financial questions. Right now, let's talk to Jennifer from Washington State. Hello, Jennifer. How are you? What can we do for you?
Hi there. I am looking for some reinforcement or guidance as far as, are we okay backing off on retirement savings? Or if we do that, are we going to be making our retirement more difficult?
You want to have a little more fun right now.
Exactly.
All right. I get you. That you're entitled. Let's get some facts here. Jennifer, how old are you?
I'm 50.
50. You're a little young to be backing off. I hope you have a lot of money saved. Wait a second. You have do you have a partner or a spouse?
Yep, I do. And he is 52.
Okay. And you guys have kids?
We do.
How old?
We have a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old. 19-year-old is in college. He's starting junior year. He did some high school type credits that applied to college. And 22-year-old started college during the pandemic, didn't have the best experience, but she did keep with it long enough to get her AA degree, but definitely plans to go back. So she's kind of half launched. She is working full time, mostly supporting herself, other than we're helping with a couple things.
Does she live with you guys?
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
She
Oh,
lives on her
wow.
own.
Look at that. That's interesting. And she has a good job? Is she happy where she is?
She has a good job for the point of her life she's at. If I can, that's hard to say. She has a job she super enjoys. It lets her, it's in a recreation setting, so it lets her be outside, which is one of her passions. It is definitely not a career.
Okay.
So that's why she does plan to go back to college, she says. We're hoping. But she's loving where she is now. And again, with the pandemic, it was a tough time. So to be outside doing what she loves is great at this time in her life.
That's awesome.
If that makes sense.
That's good. It is. And it certainly, look, it's better that she's in that situation than she's like, oh, just going to like grind it through college and kind of screw up and, kind of squander that opportunity. So I think it was a pretty mature decision to get to this place. I completely applaud that. I don't think everybody's ready for 4 years straight out of school. It's just not for everybody. So good for her to know herself. And so, Jennifer, tell me about income for you guys. How do you derive income right now?
We both work. I make 75,000. He fluctuates a tiny bit, so with bonus, but I tried to pick a consistent, would be around 180.
Okay. And right now, what are you doing with retirement? Like you said we're talking about maybe backing off from contributing to retirement. So tell us what you're doing now.
We have been maxing out at retirement 401ks. So both of us with the catch up at this point. And then also maxing out, he has an HSA.
And are they traditional 401ks or Roths?
Mostly traditional. Recently, my company did add a Roth option, so I've done a little bit to it, but it's like 6,000, so it's super minimal. So unfortunately, all pre-tax.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question about the balances. How much money have you guys socked away so far?
Mine's at 400,000 roughly, and his is just under 800.
I'm going to say 800. I'm going to give you the
I like that.
benefit of the doubt. Any other old IRAs or anything else kicking around?
We each have an annuity, which was from previous jobs that we rolled over. Been around a really long time. I know annuities aren't always the best, and if I could go back, I would do it differently.
But you have them.
And at the time, I left a company that they had a pension program, but it was ending. And so I was really focused on, oh my gosh, there's no pension. And the place I was going had no pension. So that was our financial person suggested, well, here's a way to get income. So
That's true.
We're estimating from that we would get an income from mine probably about $1,500 a month in retirement, and his probably about $1,000 a month.
So you said $1,500 a month for you. At what age would that be turning it on?
I think, and again, this was rough calculator playing with, but it was like 65.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Are either of you entitled to pensions?
No, afraid not.
Okay. All right.
We do have brokerage. Sorry.
Tell me about those.
The brokerage fund has 250,000.
Oh, I like it when you forget. I like when you forget a zero and it goes the other way, right? That's good, right?
Mostly individual stocks, but a bunch, And then we do have some in mutual funds. I think maybe 70,000 in mutual funds.
Okay, and you guys are managing that yourselves?
We had a financial person for years and years that we absolutely adored. She was friend of the family, and we charge us $100 a year as for friends and family. So, I mean, she really just helped us with our 401k and helped us establish the mutual funds. She did pass away, so we were seeing the person that she set us up with. Haven't been quite as happy. I mean, he did get us in a lot of stocks that are doing really well.
How much do you pay this person?
It's only what he's getting off the mutual funds.
So he gets like what we call the trail. Like there's an
Yes.
embedded cost in these. Okay. No problem. That's not a problem. What about money in the bank?
That we're not as good on. I mean, we do have some. We have 30,000, but I know we're
Okay.
nowhere near what we should have for an emergency fund.
Any other financial assets? Like do you have rental property or anything like that? That's an investment.
We have a quarter share in a family property that was my husband's grandparents, and so his parents actually lived there. So it's not like really income or anything, but at some point it may be sold off. So there may be some, but it's probably not going to be anything huge.
So what about the house you live in right now?
House we live in, we do have a mortgage. Mortgage is down to 100,000. Our interest rate is 2.75, so not making any extra payments, and I would say worth about 750.
What do you think you guys spend on a monthly basis?
Right now we're spending between 9 and 10,000 a month.
Do you think that would change? You're 52. So if we look ahead once your junior in college is out, and do you think that would go down when both kids are kind of really launched and done or not? Do you think that's about the right amount?
I suspect it would go down a little bit. We really want to be able to travel and do extra stuff, especially, 60 to 70. With our current spending, yes, that will definitely go down, but it would be nice to, keep a cushion for that kind of things. When we've done retirement budgeting, usually we have been looking at about 8,000.
All right. What do you think about retirement age for you guys? Forgetting about the money you're saving in retirement. What do you think about the age that you would really want to call it quits?
We were talking about truly calling it quits, maybe 65, 67.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to do some kind of coast downsize type job around age 60. My husband was estimating he could switch to like a consulting thing where it was more like 75,000 for him.
Mm-hmm.
Mine depends on the market, or even, pick up something else just so I have more flexibility to travel, that kind of thing.
Right.
But we were looking at basically still covering our expenses
Mm-hmm.
until the 65 or 67.
Okay. And do you happen to know what your Social Security benefit is likely to be at 67?
At 67, mine is 2,600.
Okay.
My husband's is more of an estimated, but it looks like it would be on their quick calculator 3,600.
And that's at his full retirement age of 67,
67,
right?
Yep.
So, okay. So what we know is at 67, you guys have 2,600 of Social Security, 3,600, but also we've got that extra money from the annuity, which is another 2,500, right?
Yep.
Okay. We'll get back to Jennifer in just a second. If you would like to join us on the air, just go to JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's get back to Jennifer from Washington State. So, it's kind of like you're kind of close in terms of covering today's dollar expenses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what I'm hearing from you is that the game plan that you're hoping to execute is this. Just make sure I'm on the right page with you.
Yep.
Is that you're 52 now. You want to keep working till you're 60. So we have 8 more years of making the same money, the 180 and 75 for 8 more years. And then from 60 to 67, husband backs off and goes to more consulting income. You do something, who we maybe in your industry, maybe not, but that between the two of you, you would cover whatever your expenses are at that time between age 60 and 67. So we don't have to dip into the retirement assets at that time, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's the game plan. And so then the question becomes, from your perspective, I got $1.2 million in retirement already and another 250 in non-retirement. Isn't that enough, Jill? Is that kind of where we are?
Yeah, because we do have some things that would be nice to do before we get into retirement or have the funds for it before we get in retirement. Like, we really need to remodel the house. We do a lot of camping. We've talked about buying a vacant piece of property around here. Would be looking probably 100,000 where we could, just go and camp, a few acres of vacant land.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'd be nice to do that beforehand so we wouldn't have, be making payments when we're retired.
I got it. How much do you think you have to spend for the house to remodel it in the way you want? I mean, don't be chintzy about it.
We're guessing about 60,000.
So do it. You got the money in stocks. Here's what I would do. I would look at that non-qualified account, meaning your brokerage account. You've got stocks and mutual funds in there. Tell your broker, your new dude, say, hey, we need to net. Make sure you say the word net. We need to net $60,000 to do some work on the house. We are not getting another loan. We're not doing anything. We got to do this work. So look at the account, ask this guy to do it. This is part of his job. Say, we need you to be taking as much money in a tax efficient way. Some of the stocks may have done well. Maybe something else isn't doing as well. Sell what you need to sell to raise net $60,000. Maybe there's capital gains. I don't know. Get that done. Do it immediately. Okay? That's a no-brainer. And just leave some money in cash so you can make sure you have the money to pay the capital gains that'll be due. Okay? All right. So let's get rid of that. So now let's just pretend that we have 150,000 will be left in that account. All right? And you'll have 1.2. What is the way that each of your employers does with matching? What do they do?
I have a 4% match. My husband gets the bonus instead. Okay. So he doesn't have any kind of match. No.
I mean, look, I think it is okay not to necessarily max out these retirement accounts. Like, maybe just back off and just do the 22.5. Okay. You don't have to do the 30. So let's go back to 22.5. Do the 22.5 for both of you. Now, that extra money, what I would do is, number one, I'd beef up my bank account, right? Numero uno. Number two, you can start to add that money back into your brokerage account so that you can replenish the $100,000 that you've sold off, right? And you're going to want to make sure that you start to put the money away so you can buy that vacant land.
Okay. And we do have, with our son and potentially in the future with the daughter, both of them have 529s that cover tuition, but we are cash flowing housing.
Okay.
So that's why it's been super tight paying rent in this area as well on a second place, because he's not able to live at home. So that would help with that. Yeah.
So that's what I would do. And you can see how things go. I can't say this is like a 100% slam dunk, but I think it's doable. And I think the more important question that, you guys will have to face as you look at your 60s is kind of like, well, things change, right? You'll really get a much better idea as you get to be 58, 59, 60. Number one, what you're spending. And number two, what you can really earn at that time to make sure that you can make this plan work. This plan only works if you cover your expenses from age 60 to 67. It won't work otherwise. It just won't. Last couple of questions. How about the estate documents? Are they done?
They are. And actually, can I ask one other thing that's kind of tied to that kind of stuff? Long-term care. My husband's family does have a history of Alzheimer's, so he has super strong feelings that we should have it. I know financial person said, we didn't really need it.
I don't know about that. I think you're right in that. Yeah, you might need a little bit of long-term care. Hey, wait a second. Let me ask you a question. On those annuities, check to see whether or not there's a long-term care rider on those. You might be able to access those funds for long-term care. This person you work with is a broker, or is this a financial planner? What do you think?
Financial planner.
They're CFPs, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I would ask them to say, could you potentially just look for a policy that we could purchase that's not a full blown crazy, I'm going to cover every single dollar, but some baseline coverage. See how much it costs. See what's out there. And this person might say, oh, you don't need it. But, you're close in that category. Like I would say, if he were to become, if he were diagnosed, let's say it's like you're 75, right? 75 and 77. He gets diagnosed. None of the money that you have is so vast that can, like, you could absorb, like having, $200,000 a year come out. Like that would leave you impoverished. It really would. It would, like, you would be screwed. Is it possible that mathematically you probably don't need it? Yeah, but you're close enough. And if he has a family history, I might at least look into it. You might change your mind when you see how much it costs, and it's expensive, you know. But why not just have the cost and say, we just want to cover something, right? Very few people need long-term care, especially men, by the way. Very few need it for more than 5 years. It's usually 3 years or less. And it's not that everybody ends up in a facility. It's usually like it goes in stages. Like first you need a little extra help in the house, then you need this, then you need that. And if you can just pay for that part of it, if they did end up in a facility, then you probably have enough money to absorb it at that point. But I would get at least a quote, okay?
Okay.
It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's do some emails. This one is from Sandra, who says that I started contributing to my only child's 529 account when she was born. Thanks to an academic scholarship and her choice of a state school, there's still over $90,000 left in that account, and she's finished her education. I've heard that she can use the money to fund a Roth IRA beginning in 2024. There will still be more money left over. Is there any way we, as the responsible savers, can access the money for our own retirement? This is a great question. So let's just go over the rules that came from the Secure Act 2.0. And the rules are that if you have leftover money in a 529 account, the beneficiary, your daughter, will be able to contribute on an annual basis up to $35,000. So you're right. That leaves you with extra money. So if you access the excess money, beyond whatever it is, the $35,000, and maybe it'll change between now and the time that she's finished taking that money and pushing it into a Roth, then you'll pay a penalty. Okay, big deal. Pay the penalty. And if you had any sort of tax deduction from your state of residence, you'd have to basically pay that back too. But it's not so bad, and you can get the money and use it for whatever you want.
I will say, I'm assuming that they've done this, but when there's a scholarship involved, like say she got a $25,000 scholarship, well, then they can take $25,000 out of that 529 without a penalty.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, is that every single 529, or is it state specific?
No, I think that's across the board.
See, I learn something new every day. So check that out. Maybe you can get an exclusion. Fantastic. All right, this is from Linda, who writes that she's been listening to the podcast daily for the last couple of years. She says, I've loved it. I've learned so much, and I'm starting to feel more confident in my financial decisions. It's priceless. Oh, what a nice note. Thank you for that, Linda. Okay, so here's what's going on. Linda writes, I just turned 65 and I'm widowed. I'm still working, but planning to retire at the end of this year, maybe early next. I currently have $1 million in brokerage accounts, $1.3 million in pre-tax IRAs, and about $250,000 in cash. My house, worth about $500,000, is paid off. No debt. Boy, is that nice. I will take survivor Social Security benefits when I retire, and that will be $3,000 a month. And then I'll switch to my benefit at age 70, which would be approximately $4,500 a month. I also have a small pension, $1,700 a month. I need about $8,000 or $9,000 for expenses. So here are my two questions. The timing of my retirement date could be flexible. Is it better to retire before the end of 2023 or into 2024? What are the pros and cons of each? Second question, my financial advisor wants me to fund the gap in money from retirement to age 73 when I start taking required minimum distributions by draining 2/3 of my brokerage account. Is this the best approach? Should I start to take distributions from my IRAs during this time too? If my goal is to leave some of the money for my children, isn't it better to leave the brokerage money since they will get the step up in cost basis upon my death? Well, Linda, very good question. So, there's two different ways to think about it. I don't know what your kid's tax bracket is. So, and it's hard to imagine what, we don't really know much about, where tax rates are going. So I think that maybe in this particular scenario, I might start pulling some of the money out of my pre-tax account because, you'll be able to then pay the tax due at a known rate. And so let's think about this. You're 65, and then you think about that. Let's pretend you're going to work, through the end of this year. It doesn't really matter. I don't think it matters whether you do the end of 23 or into 24. It doesn't really matter. But let's just say you're done at the end of this year because I like calendar year ends. Boom, done. Now in 2024, what happens is you get this, the survivor benefits. Okay. So you get $3,000 a month. So we now need to come up with a $5,000 or $6,000 a month for your expenses. So if you start pulling money out of your pre-tax IRAs and start paying tax on that, I think that might be a better idea because it will reduce your required minimum distributions in the future. We know the money's going to come out at 22, 24%. I think that would be my actual preference. I agree with you. So I'm going to say I would flip it. I would take the money out of retirement, pay the tax that's due, and move on. Now, the thing is, I just want to make sure that as we consider this, that we're really, making sure that you're okay. Because, when you get to your age 70 and you have $4,500 a month, you're still going to have to pull a chunk of money out of these accounts, right? So you'll have your 4,500. You'll have to obviously keep taking some money out. And we just want to make sure that you're being methodical about that. And maybe, of course, 70 to 73, you keep doing your IRAs and you should be okay. I think everything is fine. I don't want to go too crazy about like your goal about leaving money for your kids. I think first you make sure that you're okay, then we go to the kids. The pros and cons about like when you retire, the actual day and triggering that, I don't think it makes a huge difference. Stop working when you want to stop working. You should be fine. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. Let's conclude the hour with an email from Erica, who writes, "Hi, Jill and Mark. I absolutely love your podcast. I know you've answered variations of this question a million times, but I would very much appreciate your insight and also help settle a debate between me and my partner." Okay. Erica's the high earner. She puts all of her 401k contributions into the Roth option. Partner thinks I should get the tax benefits of the traditional option. Here are the stats. Erica's 33, lives with and shares a life with partner, not married, finances are separate. Recently moved from Massachusetts to California, have always been in a pretty high tax state. Work in finance. Sound familiar, Mark? Base salary, $190,000. Bonus anywhere from $70,000 to $100,000. About a fifth or 20% is RSUs. Income is expected to continue increasing at a minimum to match inflation, but there are opportunities for promotions and bigger jumps. So let's just first tell everybody at $190,000, Erica being single, her top bracket right now is she'll claim the standard deduction, right? Is she's in the 24% bracket. She says, I max out my Roth each year. She said, from listening to your show, the rest of my cash goes into a brokerage account since the traditional IRA doesn't seem worth it. I totally agree with that. That's beautiful. 401k has about 200 grand. This is so easy, Erica. If you think that your tax bracket is going to rise in the future, there's absolutely no reason that you should be using a traditional retirement account. And in Erica's case, just think about this. She's young, and we're going to pay tax at the 24% tax bracket. There are 3 more brackets ahead of her. I think that what becomes clear as you look ahead is that, thinking about budgets and deficits and the United States and the fiscal shape we're in, I think it's probably more likely than less likely that tax rates or the brackets, they change. And it's not going to change and go down. We're already at historically low rates. So I think the likeliest scenario is that you'd rather lock in your tax liability today when the rates are so low, the tax rates are historically low. Even if you do live in a high tax state, I know that sucks, but I would keep doing the Roth. Erica wins. It's the Jill on Money Show, and we'll be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's hour number 2 of the Jill on Money Show. We are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. And the way that we do that is we encourage you to go to our website, jillonmoney.com. While you're there, click the Contact Us button, complete the form, and if you'd like to join us on the air live, you check the box, and Mark does everything else. But if you just are a little bit too shy and you want to just send an email, that's fine too. We're going to answer some more emails this hour. But I do love it when you come on the air. It's just we seem to uncover other aspects of your financial life that it's hard to articulate ahead of time and know what I'm going to ask you. So anyway, while you're on the website, don't forget you can sign up for the free weekly newsletter. It comes out every single Friday, and you can buy my book, The Great Money Reset. This book came out of conversations with you, a framework for decision making when you're making big changes in your life. So you can check out The Great Money Reset wherever you buy books, or you can go to the website. Also on the website, we've got a link for our news service called Jill on Money Live. For $35, you have access to quarterly live webinars and lots of cool bonus content. We've got a great interview with Diana Henriquez. She's the one who wrote the big Madoff book. She's got a new book out called Taming the Street. So check it out. Jill on Money Live, all on the jillonmoney.com website. Okay, as promised, we are going to read some emails. Right now, let's do one from Marlene, who writes, I've been a widow for 3 years and have been living on Social Security and RMDs, required minimum distributions, from investments. Totals about $200,000. Wow. 1 year ago, I invested more funds to purchase a cottage on a small lake. I hope it was a small cottage. Oh, the price was too good to pass up. $90,000 for 2 bedrooms, and it was furnished. I took out an equity loan to purchase the cottage against my 3-bedroom home, which I own without a mortgage. My quote unquote boyfriend, I mean partner, you can say, if you don't want to say boyfriend, wants me to pay off the equity loan because it's at 10.25%. Oof, that's a heavy duty interest rate. My finance person suggested that I have the monthly payments, about $1,000, paid from my investments monthly, and I shouldn't take the money out of the account to pay off the loan. His concern is that I will run out of money, and I don't believe that I can live on my Social Security, which is $2,000 a month. I'm leaning towards taking the finance person's suggestion. My boyfriend thinks I should sell $100,000 of stock, pay off the equity loan of $110,000. Oh, okay. Well, Mark, if someone is taking, let's just think about this. Let's say there's $24,000, there's $175,000. Is that required minimum distributions? I'm intrigued by this. I want to know what the actual corpus of all the investments that you have is.
I kind of feel like the total investment number is just the $200,000.
Oh, I read that the wrong way. You're 100% correct. Oh, you can't pay this off. Your broker's right. You need the money. Can we sell the house? Like, here's the deal. You never should have bought the cottage. That's what I think. If the price was too good to pass up, can you go live there full time? What's the house worth? This is just the $200,000. Ooh, you can't pay it off. You would be really sapping all of your liquidity. I don't think that's a good plan. Val asks, what should I consider after retirement when it comes to taking money from Roths versus traditional 401ks? I have access to both. What should I consider when it comes time to take the money from retirement accounts? Well, I mean, part of this has to do with how much money is in each. Generally speaking, I would probably be taking traditional money out a little bit at a time, especially if you're in like that funny little sweet spot before you are adding your income up and going, bringing Social Security into the picture. You might want to just start taking the money out of the traditional. The Roth, interestingly enough, does not require a minimum distribution, doesn't have a required minimum distribution. And so I'd rather let that last as long as I possibly can. But what you really should be considering is what's your tax bracket and what your needs are. Give us a holler. Love to have you on the air, and we could talk more about that. This is from Patrick, who's 35 years old. And he says, I've recently started to put more money into my 401k, 15% of the paycheck. He makes $70,000 a year and has $60,000 in a Fidelity account, which is all high risk stocks. Oh, God. I was wondering, with inflation and not having a pension or any other real retirement savings, is this a good track to be on? Should I put the money in another retirement account or try to be more aggressive? More aggressive than all stocks? All high risk stocks? How much more aggressive do you want to be? Do you want to go to Vegas? Let's do that. She says very sarcastically. I'm only kidding. You want to retire at 62 and a half, not work much longer. You're 35. How do you know what you want to do? Pat, I think that you should be trying to put in as much money as you can afford into your retirement account. I would suggest if you have the ability to use a Roth, that you do use a Roth. And I wouldn't do anything else, but I'd be very careful about having all high risk stocks. There's nothing else to do. I'd be interested in learning a little bit more about this. I have to retire when I'm 62. That you could live for 40 years after that. You would actually have a longer retirement than a work life. Chris says, my husband is turning 65. I'm 63. We're both still working. We've got grown children who are out on their own. They're not married, but they do have successful jobs. My husband and I have term life insurance policies. I think this is in response to my life insurance segment recently. At what point can we give these policies up? You know what? Right now. How about that? There's no reason. No one needs life insurance at this point. You probably have plenty of money saved. You didn't say that, but in your early 60s, I got to presume you have plenty of money. You can figure out how to bury each other. You're fine. Okay. Carla, are treasury bills worth purchasing for the short term, 30 to 90 days, if I can invest $10,000? You could do that, but you can also just find a high yield money market, and a high yield savings account. I think either of those is fine. You might be happier actually having the flexibility of the money market. Kay is 69. She's single, no kids. She's in good health. She says, I'm going to be doing some estate planning soon. I don't really trust anyone in my family to handle my affairs. Are there any alternatives? Yeah. I mean, why not have a friend? If you're 69 years old, you've got a few bucks. Who are you leaving money to? Who are the beneficiaries of your account? And maybe you just have a friend who will do it for you. And if not, you can choose There are estate services at some institutions, not all. It's a pain in the neck, as I now know. But I would say that it's probably good to try to find somebody who's in your state who has a little bit of, I don't know, like administrative acumen. It does not take financial acumen. And chances are you're going to have a will that basically says, here's what I'm leaving it to. Maybe it's all charity. But, pick somebody who can just sort of shepherd the way through. And I would do a friend. I think that would be fun. We'll take more of your financial questions in just a minute. If you have one, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and complete the form. If you want to join us live, check the box and we'll do the rest. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And right now, let's take an email. This is from Lauren. She and her husband are 30 years old and they want to upgrade their home in the next 2 to 5 years. She said, we would love your help in determining what is feasible and reasonable for us. Okay, that's good. So she makes $130,000 a year. Her husband makes $100,000. They don't have kids yet. They do own their own home. It's a starter home. And they bought it for $275,000. Oh boy, here we go. The mortgage, $200,000 outstanding. The interest rate, 3.625%. The house is valued somewhere around $320,000 right now. Okay. They are both maxing out their 401ks and Roth IRAs. 401ks currently at $130,000 for her. She gets a company match of 7%. Her husband has $140,000 with a 4% company match. Roths, $88,000 for her, $62,000 for her husband. And they have a brokerage account with $28,000 in some stuff in there. And they put $1,000 a month into they're saving a lot of money, $1,000 a month into their brokerage account. Purchasing more index funds. Okay. Lastly, we proactively fund a 529 account at about $200 a month since we plan to have children in the next couple of years. Wow. That is a lot of fit thinking about that, huh? They've got an emergency reserve of $35,000. So my question is this. Would a $500,000 to $600,000 home be outrageous for us in the next few years? We live in a reasonable cost of living city. So that budget would get us our forever home. What is your recommendation for us to prepare for this? Well, this is not a bad story. I mean, you got a house that already has $120,000 of equity, right? If it's more like 2 years, I think it's a stretch. I think if we're talking 5 years, there is a better opportunity for you. I think that when you have an idea like this, it's hard to do this in a vacuum. And what I mean by that is like, well, you're planning to have kids, but you don't have kids. Well, if you have 2 kids, it's one thing. If you have 4 kids, it's another thing. If you have 1 kid, it's a different thing. I think that what you can do to prepare for it is exactly what you are doing, which is building up that brokerage account and making sure that you have, don't make any big mistakes. Like, it's not so much like a splurge. It's more like we really want to do a significant upgrade, but I wouldn't do that upgrade if all of a sudden you had to spend 6% on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. You have good salaries. You're only 30. Do you have a big upside? Are you in a situation where you're like, well, we make $230 right now together, but we have a chance to be at 400? Or are you thinking, well, we're not going to go up that much. We're going to stay consistent. One of us would stay home if we had a baby or 2. Like, all of these things are all the variables. So I can't say it's not outrageous to think about this. Leave yourself some flexibility, which you're doing by putting money into your brokerage account. And I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I would not be funding a 529 account at all. I just wouldn't. I would take any extra money and put in the brokerage fund. If there's a whole bunch of money and you don't, and things go really well, all right, so you know what you do, then you can make a lump sum into the 529, but I wouldn't put any money in the 529 right now at all. And I think that's it. Okay, next. This is from Anonymous. First name Anonymous, last name Anonymous. I'm not kidding. It says Anon. Question. Should I do a mega backdoor Roth? I'm single, mid-30s, annual income, $250,000. Mid-30s, the current net worth is $880,000 with about half in taxable and half in retirement accounts and stock purchase. No debt, no home ownership, no kids, no partner. Currently max out my 401k and do a backdoor Roth. Not set plan on when I'm aiming to retire. I'm happy with my job, see myself doing it for the foreseeable future. I mean, I would hope not in your mid-30s. Annually and historically, I've purchased $15,000 of discounted employer stock. I have a mega backdoor Roth available to me, but I haven't taken advantage of it due to lack of excess funds. Should I reallocate the money I have that's going towards the discounted stock and take advantage of the mega backdoor Roth instead? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Forget about this stupid discounted stock. You got plenty of stock. Absolutely. Positively do a mega backdoor Roth instead of the stock purchase. Now, if you don't want to do either, then you can just take some extra money and open a brokerage account. Either way, I'm fine with that. And you've got a lot of income. So I think that's very good. Your general asset allocation. Well, I mean, look, you've got $400,000 that's in your taxable index fund, which is great. That's awesome. I like having more in your Roth option. You make a lot of money. Sounds like you're going to keep making money. You know, as an individual, just to put this in a fine point on this, as an individual, single, when you make $250,000, even though you don't have a house or anything, just with a standard deduction, et cetera, you're getting taxed mostly at the 32% tax bracket. So, I mean, I think you're in good shape, but I would not be buying. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of just like going ahead and buying this stock. It sounds to me like you're accumulating stock on an ongoing basis. Okay. This is from Joey. Hi, Jill. I currently contribute 10% of my salary to my 401k. My company matches 100% on the first 3% and then 50% on the next 3%. Joey's 44 and has $500,000. All the contributions have been pre-tax up to this point. I just became aware that my company's plan also offers the option to allocate 401k contributions as Roth. It's my understanding that the 401k provider has the ability to track different contribution sources, blah, blah, blah. So I still contribute the same amount of money. My asset allocation remains the same, but I would start accumulating a Roth component with a separate basis, tax treatment, etc. My question, should I start allocating either 100% or half of my 401k as Roth? I know I'll lose the tax deduction if I do that, but I'm thinking that it would be smart to build up some Roth money. I do have a Roth outside of this with about $15,000 balance. Haven't contributed to that in over a year. I say yes. I don't know how much you earn, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good to have some money that has already been taxed. And I think you're onto the right thought pattern here, Joey, that you have $500,000 already. Let's go into the Roth environment and let's beef that up. So yes, I would do that. Okay, this is from Victor. Subject. You're going to like this, Mark. Cash poor, house, I think he means rich. Cash poor, house rich. Little typo there. Victor says, I built my dream home and oh God. My heart started beating when I read this sentence. Here it goes. Hello. I built my dream home, but now I owe $1 million on it, and it's quite stressful to keep up financially. I have multiple loans from different sources, including my dad. Should I sell my house and walk away? It will be a little bit of a profit. I don't know anything about you, Victor, but I don't like stress. And if it's stressful to build your dream home, it really wasn't a dream. With no other facts, if there's a way to make yourself feel a reduction in stress and strain, or maybe you went too crazy with this, then I think it's at least worth focusing on what would happen if. So if you wouldn't mind, Why don't you give us an idea about like what it would be to walk away? Where would you live? And what other assets do you have? I just got a sense that because you have such stress, you probably don't have a ton of other assets. But all that being said, I don't like financial stress, and I don't like financial stress that can be resolved with a sale of a property. Okay. So if it was a dream house and you're like, okay, I kind of went nuts and maybe it doesn't work, don't worry. You can sell it, walk away with a few bucks. That's good. If you've got a financial question, it's retirement, it's real estate, it's education, just give us a shout. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that is trying to help guide you through your financial journey. There is no single answer. There are many to consider, and that's why we encourage you to get in touch with us. Just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. And I really encourage you to do this because there is no formula for you. You are you. You are a person. You've got depth, and we want to hear from you. So right now, let's talk to Jason, who's from Buffalo, New York. Hi, Jason. How are you?
Hi, I'm just fine. Thank you for having me on your show.
Of course. What brings you to us? What's going on?
Well, I'm heading toward retirement. I'm getting closer every year, and I'm thinking about getting my finances in order to prepare for that event. And one of the problems I seem to have is I've got, because I've had so many jobs over the course of the my life, work lifetime, that I've got a lot of these 401ks, and I have a couple of 457Bs, and I think a little bit of consolidation and maybe a strategy on how I can avoid any tax events on my 457Bs would, I think, be good news to me.
Okay. Jason, how old are you?
I'm 64 and will be going to be 65 in maybe less than 6 months.
Okay, great. Are you single, married, partnered?
Married.
How old is your spouse?
She is 59.
Are you currently contributing to either the 401k or the 457?
No, not the 457, but I am currently contributing to the 401k that I have with my company.
The 457 plans, I should say, how much is the value of those old plans that you're no longer contributing to?
They are around $350,000.
Okay. And your current 401k, how much is in there?
Oh, I've got many of them. That's part of the problem.
All right. Let's do the current one, and then we'll do the others.
The current one, I have $10,000.
Okay.
The old ones, I have one has $80,000. One has $40,000. One has $9,000. One has $31,000.
Oh, geez.
The other one has $35,000. And I've got one that has $12,000, and I've got another one that has, I think, $84,000.
Are you allergic to paperwork? I mean, how did this happen, for God's sake?
And I procrastinate a lot.
Okay. This is so easy. The current plan, where is it held? What is the financial company where the investments are held?
Is it Edelman?
Edelman?
Edelman, yes.
Okay, Edelman. Okay. And the old 457 plans, again, you're not contributing. They're static. That's fine. Your wife, is she working and also contributing to 400 different plans?
No, she fortunately has a person that's managing her retirement, and so everything is in order. But it's very similar as far as the amounts.
So you have like about 350 and 457s and then almost 350 and 401ks also, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And her retirement is 350 or like 700?
It's more around 700.
Okay. Are either of you going to be entitled to pensions?
I have a small pension with the state, which is basically about $5,000, $6,000 a year.
Okay. Are there any other assets that you hold that are non-retirement, and or do you have Roth or IRAs?
I think that all the small number of the numbers that I gave you, the 401s, they are Roths. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But there's a bunch that's pre-tax, there's a bunch that's post-tax, but it's still about the same amount. How about a brokerage account? Do you have any money outside of retirement?
Nope.
Okay. Bank, money in the bank?
Oh, yes. We have about maybe $80,000 in just liquid funds. That some of it is in CDs now that the interest rates have gone up.
Great. Okay. And what about your home? How much would you guess that your home is worth?
It's worth about $450,000, and we have about, I think, $50,000 mortgage, $50,000 to $80,000 mortgage.
I like that you don't know that. That's a funny thing not to know. Okay. And low interest?
Yes, about, I think, 3%.
Okay. Do you guys have some grown kids?
Yes, and they're doing very well.
So all kids are fine. We're good,
yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much would you guess that you guys spend annually? Because we didn't really talk about what you make right now. So what do you earn?
Well, what I earn is about $120,000, and my wife is somewhere around, I guess, 80.
You guys are comfortable on that combined $200,000?
Oh, more than enough, yes.
I mean, just because you have all these accounts, I don't guess you're the type of person who has a spreadsheet with all of your spending. But do you have a sense of how much you spend?
I think that we probably, as far as yearly spending on everything, I would think we do pretty much close to like 60% of our salaries.
Okay.
Combined.
All right. And do you think that would persist whenever you decide to retire?
No, I really think that we'll probably look at least I'm targeting, because I know a little bit about the tax bracketing that comes along, and we want to look at maybe targeting about $80,000 a year.
All right. I mean, like, it's fine. You'll be fine. How long do you think you're going to be working? I mean, you're turning 65. Your wife's 59. How long do you think that you guys want to continue to work?
She definitely wants to go at 60, which is next year. Mm-hmm. That's a definite. Mm-hmm. I can work forever.
We'll get back to Jason in just a minute. If you've got a financial question, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, complete the form, and if you'd like to come on the air live, check that box. Everything that you could ever want. All there at JillOnMoney.com. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions. To actually help you out, we ask you to do a little bit of work. Just go to jillonmoney.com, click the Contact Us button, complete the form, and if you'd like to come on the air live, check that box. While you're on the website, there's a lot of great free content. There's the free weekly newsletter. Sign up for that right away. There are 2 other audio shows, 2 podcasts. There's a blog. There's a video section. There's resources. Everything that you could ever want. All there at jillonmoney.com. Right now, let's get back to Jason from Buffalo. What's kind of cool about this is she'll retire at 60, okay? You'll lose her 80. But because of kind of all the money you've saved, there could be a way to also pull some money out of the pre-tax accounts while you're, just to make up the difference, right? While you are still working and not pop you into a much higher tax bracket. So first and foremost, we have to create some buckets to hold your assets. We need one that is a pre-tax and one that is a Roth bucket, right? Now, the question I have to you is, how do you feel about managing your own money?
Oh, I can do it.
In all of these accounts and everything, is there one platform that you find easy to use?
Fidelity. I love Fidelity.
You love Fidelity. Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go online. You're going to say to Fidelity, I need to have a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. I need your help to consolidate all of these other accounts, okay, into one account. I hope that we end up, after we're done with this, with you having 3 accounts. Your current 401k with Edelman, and then a Roth IRA at Fidelity and a traditional IRA at Fidelity. Okay? This takes some work, and I'm going to tell you why. In many cases, you have to go to the place where all these different accounts, the 80, the 40, the 9, the 30, you have to go to each one and have Fidelity help you do this and say, send my money to this Fidelity Roth IRA account or send this money to the Fidelity traditional IRA account. You're going to have to do it. I'm sorry. There is not an easy way to do it. I mean, unless you wanted to hire your wife's person to manage it, but then it's going to cost you money.
Therein lies the root of the problem, yes.
You know?
It's the effort of doing that.
You know, if you're comfortable with Fidelity, this is paperwork, really, and digital work, you know? Like, it's not hard. It's just a pain in the neck. When you open up that IRA rollover at Fidelity, you can probably, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you can do this, that all those 457 plans can roll into that IRA rollover fund. Pretty sure that will be able to be done. And certainly Fidelity has every incentive to help you because they want the money in-house. Right? So I think that's the key here. Now, when your wife decides to call it quits, here's your opportunity. So in your rollover account, you could take some money out of that traditional IRA account. And every year, like if you're making 120 and you could say, you know, we could use another 30, 40 grand a year. You could take 50 grand out of your IRA rollover and make up the difference of what you need for your spending. The reason why this is an interesting idea is that we want you to do this before either of you start collecting Social Security while your tax bracket is 22%.
Okay, right.
Right? So then, are you intending to work maybe till 70?
No, to be honest with you, probably maybe 65 to 66.
65's next year. I got to get all this money moved. Okay. What's your full retirement age Social Security benefit?
I estimated it at like 25,000 a year, or maybe 2,500 a month.
Look, the longer you work, the better this thing looks. Okay, so you have between the two of you $1.4 million, right? If you work to your full retirement age and that's really what I want you to do. I'd like you to keep working until full retirement. It does make a lot more sense. I think that your numbers will work because, you know, you're not, as you said, you don't spend that much money. And between the two of you, let's say that you'll have Social Security of $5,000 a month, and then you'll have from all of your assets, you can pull another $4,000, $3,500, $4,000 a month. And then we got your number. We got your $8,000 or $9,000 a month. But I'm just going to say, this takes some work. Are you currently putting in the max into your retirement account right now?
Yes, I am. And I always have been.
Maybe when she stops working, you're going to have to pull back on that. Just something to consider. Why is she so hell-bent on getting out at 60? She hate her job?
I don't know if she really hates it, but I think that she has plans for travel, and I think that.
So how's all of a sudden? How's my money going to be not $10,000 a month, but it's going to be $8,000 a month?
Well, that is consideration.
You guys are going to have to watch it. You don't have, an unending amount of resources. The longer you work, the better this works. Let's just be clear, and get this consolidation done. And do you guys have your estate documents?
Yes, we do.
Okay. If you need a little financial help, a little mentoring, a little guidance, just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the program, let's do an email. This is from Ray, who says, I have approximately $121,800 in my annuity. I owe $128,000 on my house. I can't touch my annuity until another year and a half. At 4.9%, I'm still giving the mortgage company $450 a month in interest. I guess he means the mortgage is at 4.9%. The question is, does it make sense in a year and a half to use the money from the annuity to pay off the whole mortgage? I believe I would be saving money in interest. Well, Ray, I cannot counsel you to do that until I know a little bit more information. For example, is this annuity contract a qualified or non-qualified? In other words, is this money that was formerly in an IRA or a 403B account that's now in an annuity? Or is it non-qualified, meaning you put an after-tax dollar in? The next question I would really want to know is, what's the tax liability if you were to take it all out at once? A lot of annuity contracts have this very screwy mechanism that you may not even realize. And that is that the money you put in, it does grow tax deferred, but all of the accumulation is just plain old taxable income. And that may put you in a higher tax bracket. And maybe you'd like to spread that out over a number of years. And I guess finally, I wonder, what is the other money that you have available to you? Because I'd hate to drain all that money from the annuity if you don't have other cash on hand to get you through the next group of years. I guess what I'm really saying, Ray, is I'd love a little bit more information, and I'd be happy to talk through this with you when we have that information. Okay, that is it. That is the program. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is the best executive producer in the world and our web king. We ask you to do something nice for someone else today. It'll make that person feel good, and it sure will make you feel good. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.